elected her, I'm assuming, but who she represents. And you know, I don't speak in derogatory tones of people that represent me or people that have been elected to office, and I would expect you know, that same level of respect back, because in the end, they work for us, we're paying their salaries, and they're directed to represent us. So to speak in such a disrespectful way about your constituents is really shameful.
Well, I was upset about the remark, and I was also upset that my state senator turned around and voted to have her be president again, in lieu thereof, and then, you know, there'll be a time to deal with that.
Well, I think she's going to have a pretty tough challenge again.
Well, that's her, but I'm talking about my own senator. I'm just, you know, turn around and support her after making a remark like that.
Right. Well, you know, elections have consequences, and we
and they will. One
of the things that we try and inform people of in the Tea Party movement is that we have to have long memories.
And that's been a problem in this state. I mean, historically, that's been a problem in the state. And this goes all the way back
it's everywhere.
To Chappaquiddick and everywhere else. It goes on. It just, you know, people forget real quick. And, you know, they forgot, you know, a couple of years ago after all our taxes got raised again, the sales tax got, you know, raised, and then they raised the alcohol tax on top of a tax. And that one there, I guess, you know, that one.
Well, a few incumbents lost on that, especially up on that New Hampshire border, and then down not far from here in Attleboro.
Right.
People, you know, state representatives who voted for those tax increases lost against candidates who ran on a platform of repealing those increases.
Right. So a little bit more about the Greater Boston Tea Party.
Yes.
Okay. What are the goals right now of the party?
Well, our mission is to educate and inform based on a set of principles that we believe in, which are limited government, personal responsibility, and individual liberty. These are, you know, principles found in our founding documents in the foundation of our nation. And we really believe that if we adhere to those principles, you know, it kind of all comes out in the wash. Okay. So we advocate for and against policy depending on where they stand in adherence to those principles. Okay,
well, here's a policy for you. How do you feel about the debt ceiling right now? And the major problem we're having with that? Where do you sit with that?
Well, I can't speak for the couple thousand people in our organization, although I'm pretty comfortable, I think, saying that most of us would like to not see the debt ceiling raised at all.
Right. You know, there was a guy, a very outspoken man back in 2008, I believe it was, and he had a quote, and he said, you know, raising the debt ceiling is a sign of a weak leader, and those are words to live by. I mean, that was what, you know, that's what this man said. Well, and unfortunately, that man right now is president of the United States, and he's trying to raise the
Oh, that's right.
and you know, you wonder, you know, why was it was not good then, now it's good now, and
well, there's that memory problem we were talking about.
Right. But you know, it's funny now because the internet is a memory jogger.
Right.
YouTube.
Yep, it's
because
right
now
there.
they get the direct quote, and now they can't say we've taken it out of context anymore.
Right.
Because when you play the video, you see the whole thing.
Well, I think what we know from this current administration is that there's no consistency. There's no consistency with policy. There's no consistency in rhetoric, and I think that's one of the things driving the Tea Party movement. You know, one of the things that I've found in these last couple of years of being active is that what voters really respect is not necessarily that you're with them on every issue, but that you're consistent on every issue. What Obama has been consistent about is spending our money on things that are important to his administration. That's not going to stop, which is, again, why we're looking at another debt ceiling increase. Unfortunately, I think we're going to get it. I'm just, at this point, because the thing that's, you know, that's difficult for people in the Tea Party movement right now to really make peace with is that, you know, it's the Republicans versus the Democrats, right? We're in a two-party system, and the Republicans are supposed to be the conservatives, the Democrats are the progressive liberals, we're the don't spend, they're the let's spend all the money people. What we need to understand, though, is that the Republicans are in charge of 1/2 of 1/3 of the federal government. So we don't have a lot of muscle to affect policy. What we can do, and the best that we can hope to do, is hold that line and mitigate as much damage as possible right now, which is, I mean, I can't believe we're talking about the federal government of the United States in terms of mitigating damage. It makes me crazy, but that's kind of where we are, and that's what people in the Tea Party movement, and whether you're in it or not, that's what taxpayers across America can do right now. We can help our Republican leaders hold that line, which is, let's get the best deal we can, and let's get this administration out of office, and let's start making some real reform and some real changes in the next go-round.
Okay, and that's another popular misconception about the Tea Party, and that's that you only support Republican candidates. That is not true.
That's not true.
At all.
We had a lot of independents run in Massachusetts that had a lot of grassroots support. Now, the Greater Boston Tea Party does not support candidates. We introduce candidates to people, we do questionnaires, we produce voter guides, but we do not actively support candidates. We don't raise money for them. We don't donate money to them. That's not our mission.
See, it's not what you thought. So I want you guys to get this.
And we're independent. Another thing, Tea Party organizations, the 3 or more dozen that operate in Massachusetts that I'm aware of, I know that they're smaller, neighborhood organizations, are all autonomous and independent of each other. Some do have some sort of affiliation with, say, Freedom Works or Tea Party Patriots or Tea Party Network. We get a lot of information from those organizations, but there's no formal relationship. There's no money changing hands. We make our decisions as a committee and as a membership. Okay.
Now, back to the president, and just in general, the president actually can't spend any money.
Right.
But he the Congress can. Mm-hmm. So
except he can appoint a bunch of czars that spend money.
Yeah, but they can't spend it on.
They cost us money.
Yeah, they cost us money. But just want to clarify that the president isn't the one going out spending all this money, even though he wants it spent.
Right.
He's dictating to Congress to get it done, and popular conception is the Republicans end up caving to pressure.
Yes, all spending appropriations begin in the House of Representatives,
which we have control of right now. It's not we but the Republicans and Tea Party.
We have the majority.
Tea Party-backed Republicans.
Right quite a few of them.
Yeah, a lot of new ones came in
from all over the country.
Yeah, and that okay. So that I just want to square on that, and then also, do you feel it was a scare tactic to go out and say he can't guarantee that people will get their Social Security checks in August?
Yeah, I think it's abominable to say that.
I mean, that Social Security has nothing to do with it doesn't come out of the national debt. It has its own fund.
Well, what we know about this August 2nd deadline is that immediate cuts can be made so that we can pay the debt. Continue to make the interest payments, basically, is what have to be made. And immediate cuts can be made, and those do not have to include Social Security, entitlements, and military pay. What we do know is that the left likes to use that threat from the very beginning.
Right, but we've known about this for 2 years now. Why are we waiting till the last minute to do that? I don't understand that
Political
either.
will.
Yeah.
And now we've got the will.
Yeah.
So it's time to make those hard decisions. But it's heartbreaking.
It's hard to make people understand this. They just look at it from the way the network news presents it, and that's not necessarily the way it is.
Right. Well, we are, what are we? 3 years, basically. I mean, I have a lot of family in the Midwest, so even though the economic collapse didn't happen until the summer of 2008, you knew in the beginning of 2007 that bad things were coming down the road.
Right.
So in different parts of the country, we've been in this crisis longer than we have here in the Northeast. People are afraid, and people have been struggling for years. And what they do know is that they're still sending the same amount of money to the government, if not more, than they were when things are good.
It's more.
And they're getting less and less.
And now they're talking about adding more taxes.
Right, to the rich people, which is probably most of the people that employ us, on a day-to-day basis, those small business owners.
But yet they call them millionaires, but it's anybody who makes $250,000 a year or more, and that could be a married couple.
Right.
That's not a lot of money for a married couple these days.
Not in this part of the country, it's not. It's not. Look at the head of the transportation department in Massachusetts quit his job because he couldn't live on $150,000 a year.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Where's he moving to?
Yeah, no kidding.
He's got salary issues. I got salary issues.
Oh, boy. No, it's amazing.
But they don't in the White House because a lot of them got raises.
Yeah.
Not a lot of salary issues in the White House.
Oh yeah.
Or on Capitol Hill.
Wow. But yeah, I don't believe that there'll be checks withheld or anything. I think it was a scare tactic, and I also take him to task on the fact that he stormed out of a meeting yesterday and said, don't call my bluff. And does that mean he would let America go into default rather than make a deal? I mean, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like it sounds like it's all about his ego and not about the country. I mean, if we're in trouble, then you think he'd be willing to make some sort of a deal, and he won't. He'd rather the country go into default. It's just wrong.
Well, I think the assumption that we can all safely make is that the president is determined to have a deal that will go beyond the election, because what he doesn't want is for this to come back.
Oh yeah.
So what is our responsibility on
come
our
right out
side
and
of the
said
line?
that, though.
Right. He hasn't said it, simply because I need this to get reelected, but that's what we know.
Well, no, he said
they don't want this to happen again.
He didn't want it to go. He didn't want it to be cut short of the next election cycle.
Right.
And that's for not just for him. That's for anybody.
Right. What we need to be looking at as taxpayers, when we finally get a deal announced, and Lord knows we may only have 4 hours to read that, whatever it is, these multiple, 1,000-page documents.
Our government specializes in that.
But, what we need to be aware of is, what is that number? What is the debt ceiling going to be raised by? And what are the cuts? What's the cut number? And when are those cuts? What's the time period? Is it 4 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 12? And so these are very basic things. No matter how many thousands of pages and how many little numbers they throw out there, we only want to know 3 things. What's the raise? What's the cut? And what's the time period? What we don't want is to hand something to whomever the next president is going to be. We want to have this discussion again immediately when either this administration comes back or the next administration comes in the beginning of 2013. Because we want to be able to say, okay, you know what, we gave you 18 months, let's look at this again, because, we're not getting very far in 18 months. This is going to take decades to fix, and we've all, federal government needs to go on a serious diet. Exactly.
It did.
Exactly, and we're all culpable. Every single one of us is culpable.
We can't lay it. I know this president likes to blame the one before him for virtually everything that ever happened. Yeah. But you can't blame this one, the one before. It trickles down for years. I mean, this is, and it's it's been Congress. It's not been individuals.
Yeah, this overbloated bureaucracy took a few decades to create.
Yeah, this is not something that happened, and you can't lay it at any one person's feet. And that includes this president here.
Exactly.
And again.
Although, come on, I mean, he spent a lot of money.
Oh, he spent more than anybody ever.
Right.
He spent more than anybody, and he did it in less time.
Yeah.
He should be in the Guinness book for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's a record breaker.
Yeah. So, anyways, how do you go about advancing your causes, particularly in this state, which is a very blue state, very difficult? We didn't do good, as far as change goes in the last election.
Well, we didn't on the federal level, and a lot of that has to do with kind of this generational, I'm going to vote for the D no matter what. It also goes to how difficult it is to build a resume, because people are very.
Because you had probably the best class of candidates.
We had great candidates for federal office.
For Congress, we had a number of them here.
Right.
And they were outstanding candidates, and they all did very well, but they couldn't get it done. They couldn't close a deal, and
right.
And then as far as the state constitutional offices, you guys got smoked there too.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, but where we made big impacts, and this goes to why we were at the State House yesterday. 16 new, well, more than that actually, but 16 new Republican seats on Beacon Hill. And so we doubled the Republican caucus on Beacon Hill, which, again, we're still not even 25% of the general court. But it has changed the conversation on Beacon Hill. Okay. We just got a budget. Now, I'm going to blow it when I tell you it was the biggest budget ever. But It contained no new taxes, no new fees. It gives some power to municipalities. Of course, the governor clawed as much back of that as he could to negotiate with public employee unions. So we are making incremental change. Massachusetts is going to be a tough nut to crack. It's not like where I'm from in Ohio, where you can actually see the state as you're standing there switch from blue to red to blue to red and back again in the space of 4 years. So, or 2 years, you know, Obama in 08, and it was a red tide in 10. So Massachusetts is unique, and it's going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
This is what we talk
about. No, I actually did a blog post about with the budget, and I said, you know, because I saw all the articles how everybody's happy about it, you know, all the legislatures, and this is actually a very Republican area, and they